Hello, my name is Brian Laguna. I am a medical doctor currently doing my second year of residency program at San Marcos University here in Lima, Peru. And my only goal to do this video is to share some basic information about some COVID-19 topics that I think that we all should know. Of course, what we must know as primary health workers. By that I mean nurses, technicians, general doctors, because we have to give relevant, important information to our patients, to our community. But that information should be so easy to understand. In that sense, we need to know that information, but we need to know the sources of that information. It must be scientific information that we have to share to our community. So, according to the transmission, we all know basically that the droplets, when someone who is infected is coughing or sneezing, those droplets that get into our airway are going to get us infected, right? But what about the distance? Why is so important to know about the distance? In some other diseases, it has been studied that, for example, like in Ebola, we knew that the distance, the minimum distance that we should keep at least was around 3 feet. In the case of measles, the distance was for around 6 feet. Now we know in COVID-19 coronavirus, in order to prevent this disease, in order to avoid getting infected with this, we should keep a distance between 6 feet, around 6 feet, right? But why? What is the reason that we should keep that distance? And also, we need to understand, I guess that the population, the community, especially in the third world population, the third world country, we listen to many recommendations. Every day we listen that we should wear um, uh, masks if we are in a really crowded place, right? Or if we are infected, we should wear masks if we have symptoms. Or for example, every day everybody or our health workers or the press tell us that we should keep that distance. But as a population, we need to understand what is the main reason for doing that. Actually, these days, for example, the World Health Association said that everybody should wear masks. But why? What is the reason? I mean that if we share the right information to our community, then they will understand, and in that sense, they will obey all the suggestions that we are giving to them. But they need to understand, and if not, you should do it. It's a Japan video. It's in YouTube. It is about the transmission of COVID-19 studies. For example, this professor, many other researchers have done some experiments about the way of infection, but according to micrometer particles, like micro droplet infection, micro particles that can be suspended in the air. So, for example, this is a room where they used high sensitivity camera and some laser beams in a dark room in order to detect the micro droplets that can appear whenever someone coughs or sneezes. This is like the range of size, like of the droplets. For example, in here, this person is coughing, and we can usually detect these long droplets, like right, these long droplets that would usually fall almost immediately to the ground. But using this high sensitivity camera, we can detect the micro droplets that are suspended in the air. Right? They are shiny. They are really really small, and they are suspended there for a period of time. So, watching this, I mean, what now we're going to see two people talking. They are not coughing. They don't have, let's say, they don't have any symptoms. They are just talking loudly. They are talking, they are laughing, but they don't have any symptoms. And what we are watching here through this camera of high sensitivity, that whenever someone talks, especially if you're talking loudly, you can spread some micro droplets all around that place, in between the two people. And those droplets are suspended in the air as well. So, if we ask the question, how come this COVID-19 got to be so contagious, so easy to get infected? Could that be because of these micro droplets? That it doesn't mean that you have to be infected. Maybe you just talk to someone who is infected but is asymptomatic. You can still spread the virus through these micro droplets. So, in this case, these researchers in Japan did some simulations according to all this work that they have done. What is the time that these micro droplets stay suspended in the air? Like what is the time? For example, this person, we are in a room of 10 people, and this person starts coughing. So it shows the green and yellow droplets are the ones that are, for example, the largest. They will fall almost immediately to the ground. But the red particles are the micro droplets. They are still in the air. This shows only the micro droplets. In 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, they are still around those people. Even in 20 minutes. So if someone is in here as these people and they start breathing that air, they could easily get infected through these micro droplets. Of course, in this video in Japan, they say that it's not known yet that what is the amount of volume necessarily of that these droplets must have in order to get infected. But the thing is that we should do some action of prevention. If we already know, understand this study, we can easily prevent ourselves in order to get infected. For example, these micro droplets can easily be swept away through any air flux. If we open a window, if we open the door of this room, these micro droplets, because of their weight, and they are really really small, that small flux of air can sweep them away. So this is the importance of creating openings like the window, keeping a ventilated area, right? In order that we can prevent these highlights getting into this. But that's another topic. So now I'm going to talk about the general modes of transmission that we already know, that the World Health Organization has already said. Most respiratory infections can be transmitted through droplets of different sizes. When the droplet particles are for around 5 to 10 micrometers in diameter, they are referred as the respiratory droplets. And when they are less than 5 micrometers in diameter, they are referred as the droplet nuclei. And of course, according to some current evidence, the COVID-19 virus is primarily transmitted between people through respiratory droplets and some contact routes. But according to these studies, in Japan, for example, they are considering the microdroplets, and the microdroplets that are spread only or secondary to just talking or having conversation, not even coughing, not even sneezing, just talking loudly, you can spread those microdroplets. So we need to take note about that. Also, the World Health Organization in this article, they also said that the airborne transmission is different from droplet transmission, as it refers to the presence of microbes between droplet nuclei, which are generally considered to be particles less than 5 micrometers in diameter, can remain in the air for long periods of time and be transmitted to others over distances greater than 1 meter. Well, there necessarily has to be more studies, but the fact that the World Health Organization have suggested everyone to use masks is because these studies, right? If we understand, if we see this and we share this information to our community, they can understand and they can actually know and say, okay, I'm going to use these masks. But what are the kind of transmissions according to the different kind of people who are infected? For example, in here we have 3 types of transmissions, but according to the people who are infected. I mean, according to the symptomatic transmission, it is explained that a symptomatic COVID-19 case is a case who has developed signs and symptoms compatible with COVID-19 virus infection. So the symptomatic transmission refers to transmission from a person while they are experiencing symptoms. There is some data published of studies that evidence that COVID-19 is primarily transmitted from symptomatic people to others who are in close contact through respiratory droplets. Also by their contact with infected persons or by contact with contaminated objects and surfaces. So these are also other ways to get infected. So there is also some information that we already have. Is that, for example, within the first 3 days from onset the symptoms, it's higher to be infected. For example, if someone is coughing, it's starting with symptomatic case, is coughing, is sneezing, so it's higher the level of transmission of infection in this phase, in this case. What about the presymptomatic transmission? The presymptomatic transmission talks about the incubation period for COVID-19, which means the period of exposure from a normal person who is not infected, who got exposed for the very first time to the virus, until the time that person starts with the symptoms. There has been a range in the initial studies that the incubation period would be for around 5 or 6 days. However, it can be up to 14 days. During this period, also known as the presymptomatic period, some infected persons can be contagious. Therefore, transmission from a presymptomatic case can occur before even symptoms appear. We need to know that. And we need to focus about this kind of transmission. And what about the symptomatic transmission? We know that in the incubation period of COVID-19, which is the time between exposure to the virus, becoming infected, and the symptom onset, let's say it's for around 14 days. Okay, because it has been shown in the studies. Actually, we know that the period of days of the incubation usually takes 14 days. During this period, also known as the presymptomatic period, some infected person can be contagious. We already know that. But what about the symptomatic transmission? An asymptomatic laboratory confirmed case is a person who is infected with COVID-19, but who doesn't develop symptoms. This person is infected, but doesn't show any symptoms. Alright? So asymptomatic transmission refers to transmission of the virus from a person who does not develop symptoms, which means that this person can still infect others. How come? We have seen, if this asymptomatic person who is infected but we don't know and is just talking easily to another person, or talking loudly, or let's say this person is in the market and is asking loudly to get, I don't know, some product to the other person, and they are not protected, the other person or the rest of the people can easily get infected because of the micro droplets that we have seen. So this is the main reason we need to know all these kind of transmissions that we have. So, asymptomatic cases have been reported as part of contact tracing efforts in some countries, which is true, and the World Health Organization regularly monitors all emerging evidence about this critical topic. But we need to understand this, and we need to share this information to the rest, especially if we are hard workers. So in this graphic, we can see that if someone is infected with coronavirus, which SARS-CoV-2 is the other name, it's a similar topic that we're going to talk about later, but the thing is that this person, if is symptomatic or asymptomatic, starts coughing or is sneezing, but this one is infected, we actually won't know. As normal people, we don't know who is infected or not. But if someone starts doing this and is infected, we have like two ways. Let's say the two ways, the most common ways of getting infected. The droplets, in this person will spread the droplets containing the virus in the air, right? The distance is around 6 feet. We already know that. If we keep the distance of 6 feet, we can reduce the infection, but not completely. It's not the only way we can prevent this. Alright, that's why the World Health Organization told us to also use masks. The prevention topics, I'm going to do another video about prevention. In here I'm talking about the transmission tips or basic understandings. Okay, so the transmission will happen through the droplets that contain the virus and will spread in the air and will land in someone's nose, mouth, and through the airway will get into our lungs. Alright, so this is what will happen first, like one of the ways. The second way is that if this person starts coughing, sneezing, or touching some fomites, which is the term that we call the general objects, right? This person is not protecting himself, he doesn't know he is infected. He is coughing and he puts his hand near his mouth. He has the particles in his hand, and this person touches the surfaces of some other objects. So these objects will have the virus on them. So another person will touch this object, and this person, without knowing the source of the virus, will easily touch his face, touch his mouth, her mouth, and the droplets eventually will get into the nose and mouth, and in the end get into our lungs. We are already infected. That's why we need to wash our hands. So it's not that we need to avoid the distance. We need to wash our hands. We need to do it all together, all the possible ways in order to prevent ourselves to get infected. Thank you for listening, and I truly hope that this video can help others, especially the community of the third world countries, because people don't know much about it. We don't know which phase of the infection every country is. For example, here in Peru, we are in the third phase, but so many people don't understand. Why do we have to use masks? Why do we have to wash our hands? What are the ways that we can get infected? That's why we need to share this information, and as health workers, we must share it. But we must share the scientific resources. We must teach other people, but with information that is scientific, with information that we have to read currently every single day, because this virus is teaching us something new every single day. So it's important for us to teach our population, to teach our community, but most important, to make them understand about this disease and why are we telling them to wash their hands? Why are we telling them to use masks? Okay, so thank you, and if this helped you, please share this video to other people, to your family, if you think that this video helped you. So please just share it and spread the right information through your community. Thank you.